So here's the cool part about the business that we're in.
So the big question is, what are the top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams, and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? If you ever thought about this, you're not alone. No one has been able to get the answers until now.
We spent the last few years helping agents sell billions in real estate, rubbing shoulders with top producers, which got us thinking, how can we expose more people to these insights to help raise the standard in the whole real estate industry? We then realized that we could help bridge the gap by getting the secrets from the best of the best so that you can succeed. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Elite Agent Secrets.
So that rolls us nicely into your third and final topic, which is setting boundaries and having a schedule. And I'm sure this goes into you, yourself, your team. I know you've got a family. So this is a big topic for a lot of newer agents specifically. So how have you gone about setting a schedule that basically works for you, works for your team, works for your family, and you can sell 1,100 homes, in your career and basically still have not wanted to shoot yourself on a daily basis because you're so busy?
It's not that I never want to, just it's not every single day. So about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe longer than that, we're in 22. So about 7 years ago, I made the decision. My son at the time was about 4 or 5, and he was kind of becoming a little human being and wanted to have his dad around. And at the time as well, our daughter was probably 2. And so I just saw these little human beings that I love with all my heart. And I thought to myself, like, I'm working 7 days a week. I don't see them. I'll tell you a quick story in a second about their perspective on it. And I made the decision that I wasn't going to work Sundays anymore. And it was a little bit about, because we go to church in the morning and then we do a family day or whatever. So it wasn't like because Sunday was, some like special day. It just, that was the day that it made sense for our family. I know other agents that, matter of fact, a mentor of mine years ago stopped working Wednesdays. Like that was it, that he just said, like, I'll work all weekend, but Wednesday is my day for my family and for me to do stuff around the house or whatever. So like, what I found was that certainly the plane was not crashing, and so I don't mean to have it be an extreme example, but when the plane is crashing, what do they tell you to do? They tell you to put the mask on yourself first, because if you're not fine, then you can't help anybody else around you. So that's the reality when it comes to both your personal life and in this business. Our job, we have a fiduciary duty to represent the best interests of our clients, and the process that goes along with that. And how can you do that if you're completely spent? I mean, you can do it, but it's certainly not. I mean, if you go to the ER, you want a physician that's going to have really great like bedside manners, that probably didn't just do a 36-hour shift, right? Like if they're going to cut you open, you probably want someone who just clocked in and like is ready to get to work. And that's kind of how I looked at my Sundays. It was kind of a recharge day, and then I was back at it on Monday. And so I told at the time my assistant, my clients, everybody knew, like, if it's an emergency, I guess if you call me and I can answer, I will. But like, that's my day off. So that's where I started to set the boundary.
So when it comes to setting boundaries on daily then, because I'm sure you don't work 24 hours a day. So this is another thing, again, with kids. Me and Peter discuss this all the time, because he's like, I need to carve out a couple of hours every night, at least to hang out, like have family time. And so on a daily basis, and like that's not only boundaries for clients. I'm also curious about your actual schedule and how you schedule out your days, because are you doing lead generation between 10 and 12? Like, so everyone has such a different strategy, because I'm not personally between 1 hour, this hour and this hour, I do this task. I have 5 jobs to do every day, and I do the 5, and I do it day by day rather than hour by hour. It just works better for me. Just does. So walk us through that.
Yeah. So personally, it sounds like I'm like you. I can't really function well with the constraints of like 9 to 10. I'm checking emails, 10 to noon, I'm lead generating. I'm sure that some of that's just an excuse for me to not have an actual, schedule, but I also know how I'm wired. And I also know that, to your point, like, here are the things that I have laid out for the day in front of me. Those are obviously going to be already set appointments, whether it's a buyer consult, a listing appointment, that could be negotiating an ROC, whatever it is that has to do with our actual work, obviously has to get done. And then from there, I've got some check boxes of, am I reaching out to at least 3 past clients every day? And that could be like recent, they just closed. It could be from a year ago. And it just so happened that I noticed that I get a reminder that they closed on their house a year ago and it's their 1-year anniversary or something like that. So I make sure that I reach out to at least 3 past clients every day, at least 3 potential. And when I say clients, I just mean, are they alive? Are they in an area where I can sell them real estate, or they know somebody who might want to buy or sell some real estate? So it isn't, I don't have anything sexy as far as a schedule. For me, it's more just making sure that the stuff that I need to do gets done. And then by about 7 o'clock or so, unless it's a deal that I'm negotiating that I think I can put together that night, usually by about 7 or so, that's it for me. Like it isn't that I'm going to put my phone up on a shelf, but I'm probably not going to get involved in a lot of stuff.
Do you ever find yourself going back to your phone or have things not finished and then saying, I need to get that done before I can actually put my phone away?
If it's an actual fire and something that like I know if I wait until tomorrow morning, it's going to cause me even more grief, then I will probably handle it. And then I usually look in the mirror and say that I'm a moron for not handling it sooner or earlier, because those are the little things that make me realize that I probably should have a bit more structure to my schedule. But those things are few. Those things are luckily few and far between. So sometimes I take it on the chin and just move on with it. So
I think that's where I have the hardest time, like separating things out, is just finding that balance of knowing that this can wait until tomorrow or not, as a quote unquote, newer agent, somebody that's not as established per se as much as you are.
Well, I'll give you an example. This is a real life example yesterday. So we're going through this big storm that we have here. And I had my kids, what is today? Today's Friday. So I had my kids Wednesday and then Thursday a little bit. And we had the storm coming through yesterday. And I had an agent that was really anxious about getting an answer from my seller. But I knew my seller's schedule was going to be tough because of what he did, because what he does for a living has to, like, it was impacted from a super busy way because of the storm coming through. And when I have my kids, that's a whole nother side kind of angle of this is if I've got my kids and I've got them on a set schedule, I don't really work. Like that's when I have my kids, they know I can answer my phone, but I don't do appointments and that kind of stuff. So I focus on them. Anyway, a lot of this has to do with setting the expectation with whoever it is that you're talking to. So this agent I knew, and she had reached out, wanted an answer from me. And I told her, I said, look, the storm's coming through. My seller's going to be crazy with work. I've got my kids, and there's a good chance you're not going to hear from me until Friday. And, I don't know how she felt about it. And frankly,
I'm trying to work up to have the courage to be that ballsy. Andrew's laughing because he knows how I am when it comes to this deal and how anxious I get, to the point that I will not be able to fall asleep until I hit it. I hit everybody back. I answer. And I know I am paying price for that. I am like consciously, it's subconsciously, it causes me pain at the same time.
But you're not here's the cool part about the business that we're in. It's really important because we're helping people facilitate a really large time in their life, right? Like a transaction in their life. But we're not like doing brain surgery here. So like if you don't call somebody back for a day and you just ignore them, that's one thing. If you set the expectation like I did and they have a problem with it, that seems to me like it's their problem and not a you problem. So like I don't know how to fix it over the computer,
but you're right. It's like we're all human beings at the end of the day, and we have to have some kind of a mutual respect for each other. Yep. And if they can't respect that you're going to be with your kids or you're going to be doing X or Y or whatever because it's important to you, then that kind of speaks the volumes about, them and their relationship with you, not your relationship with them.
Yeah, and I would say this. I say this halfway joking, Peter. But you're probably the realtor, if I was working with, that I would have no problem to setting expectations are, because you're probably the one who's going to be blowing up my phone asking for an answer because you can't sleep, and ultimately I'm going to be the one to put a roadblock up and say, hey, bro, I don't have an answer for you right now. Tomorrow, here's what I got going on. And you're probably not going to hear from me. And honestly, that'll make me feel really warm inside to be able to tell somebody like you who's very anxious about that, because you're not going to control my life or my schedule because you have an anxiety problem.
So just to clarify, I really fucking appreciate that. I don't have the anxiety problem, but what I'm finding is that the other people on the other side of the transaction, they're not as responsive or transparent or straightforward. Like everybody who's listening to shows knows that we're very straight fucking forward. Like when I'm talking with the other agent, I will tell them, listen, if you're not communicating, you're not answering my phone, I will blow you up because I'm just going to assume that you're ignoring me or you're tugging me along and my client needs to know the answer.
Yes.
If I hit you, just have the decency to be like, hey, don't have an answer. Cool. Then I can go about my day doing whatever the fuck else I need to get done. And then I can circle back with you at the end of the day, tomorrow, whatever that looks like, as long as there's an open line of communication and we're not, tugging each other along for the ride here, hoping that you may get a better offer because my client, got given you exactly what you needed, but you're just holding me out.
Well,
right?
I think so. I think that what you should do, Peter, is when we're done with this, you should go into your restroom and look at a mirror and have that exact same conversation with yourself about how, not that you're anxious, because I believe what you're saying, but I'm saying about your own life and schedule, right? Like, hey, listen, man, just because X, Y, and Z doesn't happen, that's okay. You can go to sleep. Like the sun's going to come up tomorrow. And if they don't get back to you and you've set your expectation for what you want them to communicate with you, then let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, I like that. I've recently started setting the expectations with my clients that between 6 and 7, if you call me, don't call me. But if you call me, you're not going to get an answer because that's the time where I'm like giving my daughter a bath, I'm eating dinner with my family. And I've been increasingly improving around that. Now that we have a second baby, I have to. I mean, it's fucking chaotic. I don't have almost a choice where I really do got to put the phone down because you got one baby crying, you got the second baby crying. This one needs this, that one needs that. So unless I'm there, for my wife, then I'm in the triple doghouse because I'm in the doghouse, internally and mentally. I'm in the doghouse with my wife and I'm in the doghouse with my client because they're like, what the hell's going on?
Well, and I just think that so much of that has to do with expectation setting and even if you set expectations, as you know, some people won't respect the boundaries. But then it's up to you on how you handle that. And I'll say this. So this is for me, and I've evolved a bit in the sense, not evolved like from bad to good or anything like that, but in the sense that I've had a mindset shift over the last several years, and that's this. I used to tell people when if my kids had a t-ball game or whatever, I never would tell anybody that I had any family stuff going on. Everything was an appointment because it was an appointment. It was on my calendar and it wasn't up to them to know whether it was a doctor's appointment, a t-ball game,
it's not their business either, right? There's got to be some kind of boundary there.
But what I found, and here's what I say evolve, is that the more, this is going to sound arrogant, I don't mean to sound this way, but the more successful or the more perceived success that you have, the more people I think want to hear that you're more have a human side, I guess. So you can say so I'm more comfortable today saying, at least to people who know me and my situation, hey, I've got my kids today, and so I'm going to get back with you tomorrow unless I hear something urgent, right? Whereas a couple years ago, up to that point, it would be, I'm busy, I'm tied up, I have an appointment, I'll get back to you when I can. So whoever you are, you just have to decide what approach you take at it. But I just think that I've seen too many agents really skyrocket in this business and then completely flatline because they don't leverage appropriately and they don't set the boundaries.
Yeah. And if you're going to be playing this on the long-term game, you have to do that from what I'm seeing, because if I'm running into these issues, juggling a handful of transactions, I can't imagine what juggling, 4 handfuls of transactions at a single time is going to be to do the numbers that you're doing, right? And if you're sharing that with us, then we know you've paved the path and you walk the path. So why not just implement it earlier when you have the ability? So when you are super busy, you feel comfortable and confident already having those boundaries because you've established them so early on as a proper foundation. So you don't have your house collapsing on you because you got settlement cracks, aka things you just let slip by.
I would say, yes, I agree with all that. And if you guys want to Google, or anybody listening to this wants to Google, I think it's Bruce Arians, the coach of the Buccaneers. He has a rule in place for his football players. If they miss like a family thing, like a birth of a child, homecoming or prom, whatever. There was this whole interview that he did, and he tells his players and staff, if I find out that you show up to practice because you missed one of these things or an event like this, and I don't know if it was a fine or if they were benched or whatever, but he made it very clear that this is just a game of football. That like your life matters. And I'm not trying to get super deep here, but the reality is like we just sell real estate, right? Like it's like the sun's going to go down tonight. It's going to come up tomorrow. And it's a whole nother day of either new problems or solving the problems that we had from yesterday. And so the only thing you guys can do and that I can do is the best that we can of setting expectation and the boundaries so that we're able to the best of our ability, service our clients and also service those that are around us on the personal side.
Yeah. That's very powerful. Shit.
With that is a perfect ending to an amazing interview. People have just been coached by you for the last hour for 100% for free, which we love. So Mark, if people want to learn more about you, see what you got going on, buy or sell a house with you, whatever it might be, how can they get in touch, whether it's phone, email, socials, website, whatever it is, tell people how they can reach out.
Yeah, so social at the Mark Young Team on all avenues of social media. My cell phone, is it cool to get my cell phone out?
Yep,
absolutely.
All right. Cell phone area code 330-289-9433. You can reach me via email at Mark with a period, Young at exprealty.com. And yeah, I mean, I love this kind of stuff.
Love it. Mark, thanks for coming on the show. Everyone, we hope you've enjoyed the interview as much as we have. Oh, and by the way, if you're interested in gaining access to our course and coaching programs 100% for free, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com.